Yep. We're talking about Saw, man. We're into this new franchise after talking about some other franchise for a while. I don't forget what franchise it was. I think it was Hunger Games, which actually was another one of my favorites. So we're going from Hunger Games to Saw, and we're going to discuss which one was more gory between Hunger Games and Saw. Let's start the show. Unpopular Review Entertainment. I am here to introduce two of the co-hosts for this franchise, for this particular one tonight. I am the executive consultant, and I'm joined by none other than the next doctor.
That's me.
As well as Vic, who's in a horror movie of his own because he's in New York City. Look at the background.
What you talking about, man? This is the safest city in America. You better recognize.
I can't believe
you better shoot fly with all of that BS because it's the safest city in America. I'll be riding the train at 4 a.m, yo-yoing with no problems. So
every superhero is from New York, so
it
gotta be the safest.
Turtles,
Superman,
Superman, Batman.
Batman is though.
Listen, what other city is called Gotham?
Gotham's more Chicago, but
Gotham's more Chicago. You better recognize.
You will wake up in a saw trap for telling that lie.
You know what?
I'm just letting you know. He will put you into a dark alley with cheese on yourself to see if rats are going to come. Oh, yeah, because that's what he'll do. Because
now here's the thing though. You're the type of person that you'd be scared of a squirrel. So you always talking about rats and all this other BS and whatever. I bet you see a raccoon, you go across the street. All right, so shoot fly with all of that hate and stay with your iguanas.
He couldn't handle a New York pigeon
and all your lizards and all of that.
I don't like animals.
All right, so shoot fly. Well, clearly you don't like any other species on this planet because you know what I mean. You think that you are above everybody else just because you're human. Stop hating and get into the circle of life. Anyway, back to the movie.
Humans are animals.
That's right. See how you got nothing to say? You gotta know how to shut them up. Anyway, go back to the movie.
My job will be very interesting with some of the stuff they discover. Anyway, look, long story short, let's talk about Saw. Saw takes place, this movie actually came out in 2004.
19 years ago.
Correct. And it was, I want to say it was a little bit ahead of its time. And what I mean by that is that nobody knew. It came out at the same time, ironically, as The Grudge. And nobody knew what to make of this particular movie. They were a little bit more familiar with Grudge because Grudge was a remake. But what is this Saw thing? Because it didn't give you a lot in the premise. And then when you did find out, you're like, well, 2 people in the bathroom? Who wants to see that? Let's call it spade a spade. It was about the twist at the end in this movie. Nice. It keeps you guessing of who is this person that's the murderer, because as he said, he never really murdered anybody. Now, granted, he did not exactly save them. He gave them the tools to try to save himself, but he put them in a situation, and he did try to slice somebody's throat. So, but he's not technically a murderer. But who is it? And I will tell you that I remember going to this movie to see this movie all 19 years ago, and it really kept me guessing to the end. I was scratching my head the whole time, like, well, if it's not him, if it's not her, if it's not him, who is it? And then when I think it is supposed to be who I think I know who it is, this man gets up that never, ever made me guess it was him.
Facts.
And I stood up and clapped. And I saw that story many times. I think this is the second time we did this, but it's the truth. I'm not exaggerating. I am not lying when I say that. I stood up and I clapped because they got me. They did a very good job. A lot of movies nowadays want to give you with that twist, wants to get you with that twist, and not all of them do a good job of it. I think Signs did a good job, even though I've never seen the movie Signs. But I know what happened at the end, and I can see how that's an interesting twist. But this one had me guessing. If you tell me that you knew it was the dead man, I will call you a freaking liar. Okay? I really would. And that's pretty much what Saw is. Saw created a whole new genre of gore. Next Doctor and I were talking about that earlier. He was like, I forgot how gory this movie is. Yeah, it was very gory, right? But one of the things we talk about in some of these movies, especially some of the horror movies, even though I don't consider this a horror, is the fact that it cost, I think, $1 million to make, and it made its money back and then some in fold. So, which is why it had spinoff after spinoff. And I think now, and somebody will double fact me on this, I think now it's actually the most profitable horror movie of all time. I could be wrong about that now, though. It could be. It could be
definitely arguable.
Conjuring now. I don't know. Anyway, your thoughts, Next Doctor.
I mean, this movie was definitely gory. I will give it that. The ending, I think that's what made me appreciate it. You know, I wasn't really big on the gore aspect of it, but I was appreciating the story. And right up until the end, you're like, what? You know, and this man just stands up, and it's like, oh wow, no one saw that coming. You can't say that you saw that coming. You know, I'm with the executive consultant. You say that you saw that coming, I'm gonna call you in your face a bold-faced liar. Um, but it was compelling, you know, the whole time, you know, and it's a simple premise. You got two people locked in a room. You know, how much story can you really get out of that? And they got a lot of story out of it. You know, and that was the great thing about it. You know, you said only took $1 million to make. I mean, yeah, it was basically a room. Yeah, they had some scenes outside, but it was basically in that room. And that's the credit of the actors to be able to make it compelling. You know, with just their expressions, their emotions. You know what they did just in that room, because that's the majority of the movie. And you know, it really did make you think, and it really made you appreciate, you know, the storytelling. I think it had, you know, throughout, even, you know, with all the gore, you know, that's going to be the shock factor, you know, but I think the thing that really pulls you in is that storytelling. You know, they are telling a great story, and that twist at the end, that's what really sets it off. You know, I think that's what really says, oh, you know, we've got something here. You know, when you see it, you know, when you first see the premise of it, oh, okay, whatever. But when you actually experience it and you see that ending, you're like, oh, this is something right here. You know, and it makes you think, okay, is this the end? I mean, it definitely had a nice definitive end. They could have ended there, but obviously
they could have ended. I didn't need sequels. I'm not saying I was disappointed by the sequels, but it ended well. That movie ended just like that. I think all the sequels actually hurt it. But it would have been satisfying because it didn't need to continue.
It could have just been a one thing, and it would just left you wanting more. You know, people just was, oh man, this was great. Where's the sequel? Where's the sequel?
I mean, I know
Vic likes the sequels.
No, but I think that's one perspective. I mean, I do like the sequels. I think there were many of them. But the thing about it is just that one of the things that made this pop is that it was very different from like the Freddy Krueger movies or the Jason movies and things like that, where like you know who the bad guy is, you know what the problem is. Everybody's just running from death. But this was psychological warfare. Like this was straight up like, what the hell's going on? Who done it? Who did it? Who did that? Like why he's making these people do all of these things in order to escape? Like why are they in there? What did they do? So like just the whole premise of everything is there, because even till now, because even like from the previews from the new movie that you see now, the notion of somebody's paying for something. Like this guy is seeking justice. And in the very end, you know, I think that one of the reasons why you stood up and clapped is because this villain is a genius. Like it's just the level of genius that why? Because look, he was torturing people, and clearly as the villain, he's likes it, but he was in the room the entire time, probably laughing inside, smiling inside at everything that was going on. And mind you, he had the tape recorder in his hand and everything. And like, he's literally in there the whole time. And that's just, so I think that just turned this character into something amazing. I mean, the only other thing that's probably similar is Hannibal, you know, because it makes you think a little bit. But other than that, yeah, you know, I really think that's the reason. I mean, I think they could have stopped at 3, honestly. But
a few times I felt they could have stopped.
No, but the thing is just that, like, you know, I feel like the reason they do it is because the demand is high. Like, honestly, I thought that, yeah, exactly. Like, look, this right now, they just figured out another story to tell. And mind you, this one might be the end. It feels like it, but who knows?
It should be. I think they never had that definitive ending like they should. Like, no Saw movie ended. I mean, Saw 7 was supposed to, and we'll get to it when we get to it, but Saw 7 was supposed to be the end, and a lot of people were disappointed by it. Then they came out with Jigsaw to try to, you know, hey, you know, we're still around, this is what it is, and we'll get to it, but spoiler alert, wasn't happy with it. And then Spiral, I hear mixed reviews on Spiral. I have not seen it, and I'm going to wait until we get to that movie to watch it. But yeah,
I mean, but wait, how many movies are we talking about here? Because like this
10
content, look
Saw.
at that. There's 10 Saws. So like,
Fast
clearly the
Furious?
demand is exactly the demand is so high that they keep making them. It is another Fast and Furious, like,
unfortunately.
you know what I mean? But at the same time, that's also the history of, in my opinion, horror. Because how many Freddy movies are there? How many Halloweens? How many Jason movies? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it just got to the point. Like, for example, Jason versus Freddy. That was a big money grab and pop, but it was terrible. You know what I mean? I mean, it was nice to see them
I
fight.
disagree.
It was nice to see them fight. You know what I mean? But the thing is that it kind of took away. Because here's the thing: like Freddy Krueger, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Like that kind of shit was scary, you know. And all
they need a good
people
song.
in their dreams and stuff like that. And you know, and then they kind of ran away from the character. Anyway, we're talking about the wrong movie. Back to Saw, right? So
no, it makes sense.
But with this, like, you know, it's just a big difference from like, I'm gonna come get you and kill you, to the psychological warfare. And mind you, I think that there's other movies now that have kind of tried to do that, try to make you think a little bit more, you know, because I don't really see that level of gore anymore.
They toned it down, and then another thing about it, and it changed. It gets worse and worse, I should say, as the decades go by. But everything is so CGI, and I think that's another thing people had a problem with Saw 3D. It turned about to more CGI. Because one thing I want to recognize in this movie is it was gory, but when we say budget, was budget. And what I mean by that is if you really pay attention to those scenes, I've seen it so many times now, I see it now. If you really pay a lot of attention to those scenes, it's not, they really didn't do much but shake the camera like really, really fast and have somebody go crazy to make you get the perception that something's happening, but nothing really happened. I mean, you can visualize in your head, you can use your imagination, but they sped the scene up on purpose. But I also like to talk about, and I forget, shout out to James, because I think it was him that made me realize it could be wrong. But somebody, when they first were introducing his traps, somebody he obviously wanted dead. Because he had to find a combination to a poison that's in his veins, and he was stepping on glass, and there was numbers all over the wall, and he had a flammable liquid on him. Like, you were not passing, bro. You were done. You were done. I'm sorry. I saw the numbers alone. He would have just ended up dying. But you did not want him to survive at all.
I mean, if he was smart, he could have picked up a piece of the glass and put the candle in that, so it would be further away from his body instead of holding it.
He could have did so many things, but ultimately he's dead. He was never fighting that combination. It was literally all like numbers were all over the wall. You had no chance, bro.
He ain't want it hard enough.
Yeah, he might have not had. But it was amazing.
My other speaking of wanting it hard enough, you know, and I think this is one of the kind of flaws in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When we first, are introduced in the room, you know, they're trying to get the stuff off of the dead body in the middle. Like, the doctor's character's like, use your shirt. You know, tries to do that, adds a thing to add to it. Okay. Now, I know he's a bit hysterical at this point, but when the phone's ringing near the end, he's still wearing a shirt, and he could have used a shirt to help him get the phone. You know, he starts to like rip off his shirt, and then he goes to Stan. You know, he rips off his shirt so he can make a tourniquet, you know, to cut off the blood flow. He could have used the shirt to grab the phone. It was like a foot away, you know, a lot closer than the recorder was at the beginning. So I think that was kind of a flaw. You can kind of give it up because, he was a little bit hysterical. You know, last thing he heard was gunshots and his wife and kid, but could have used a shirt. So that part I was like, I don't really like that because, you know, you could have used your shirt in that point. You know, even the kid that was with him could have even mentioned, hey, use your shirt to get the phone. You know, so
at that point he could have.
I kind of thought that was kind of a bigger, you know, loophole or plot hole. But regardless, I still think it was pretty well made.
A plot hole that I was not too fond of, even to this day. Was the whole little, let me turn the lights off, tell you what I'm going to do, and then as soon as the lights come on, automatically this guy's supposed to believe that I poisoned you. You know, I thought that was a little too crappy.
I mean, Yeah, that was a bit juvenile.
Yeah.
You know, especially, I mean, who's to say what that poison, how it's supposed to kill? Like, he doesn't know if it's supposed to make him, shivering and fall out. I mean, that was a really dumb plan.
Yeah, it was. I
mean,
smart.
They were, he was in captivity. You got to try something.
Yeah, but I felt like they could have tried something. Like, he could have said, okay, we're going to wait about 20 minutes and then I'm going to do it. So it doesn't look as far-fetched, but as soon as they cut the lights back on, hey, you want that cigarette? It just, that part was a little stupid to me.
Yeah.
I talk about the ending music during my final thoughts, but one thing I want to ask real quick is, who did you think was Jigsaw when you went to go see it?
Damn, that's hard to remember.
I mean,
that's hard to remember because
when I went to go see it, I thought, we saw after they revealed the camera that there was someone sitting there. I thought that was the one that had, I'm a simple person. I thought that was a person. At the time, there was nothing to indicate that there was going to be some kind of a twist.
That's true.
Which made it work even more.
Right.
Facts.
So, yeah.
I did think it was that. And the funny thing is, when you watch the movie over, you're like, damn, I should have known. You could. It's right there in front of your face.
I mean,
it is.
It wasn't him.
That's the hindsight 2020.
Zep. There was a brief time. It was only like a minute or two. There was a brief time I thought Danny Glover's character. Like, are you it? It was like the big reveal where they showed that he was the one paying at him. But the one that really hit me is for a second, toward the end, and this might have been bad acting or what. I really thought it was Dr. Gordon. I swear to you, I thought it was Dr. Gordon. He was like, would I lie to you and everything? I was like, oh my God, this mother effer set everything up in motion just for his own sick game or something. Even cutting his foot off. I was really thinking it was him.
That was a stretch.
Because it was the way he was like, I got to go. I'm going to get you help. I promise. And I was like, okay.
I just chalked that up to him being, kind of in shock because he just cut off his foot.
Well, that might be true, or he could be wanting to sing Marion or something. I don't know. Robin Hood, because that's where I know the guy from, Robin Hood Men in Tights. But
you want to talk about how
it was anybody in the room? I always kept waiting for some external person to come in.
Well, yeah.
I never thought it was because I never had any of those thoughts, at least until the end. Because like you said before, there was really no setup to make you think that there was a twist. Like it felt like somebody else was, pulling the strings, and we was just waiting for Darth Vader to reveal himself. But that wasn't the case. He was right there.
Do you thought it would be somebody if that was the case? Because my friend is the one who got me. He said, "Bro, you need to go see this movie. You're gonna love the end." And matter of fact, he went with me. He said, "Watch it from the beginning. Make sure you watch the very first scene." I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And that's when the key went into the sink, and I was like, "Okay, you're right. You had to pay attention because when I watched the movie, to this day, I see where I had to pay attention."
Mm-hmm.
It's so many things. I look at him like I should have known that was this cancer patient the whole time.
You know what though? But I don't think that this is aging well, and for one reason, because I don't think this type of thing is necessarily appreciated anymore. As far as, because like one thing that I notice, especially from a lot of the other content that we do, a lot of the younger content, is that the attention span is a lot smaller.
And I was just about to make that.
Like
it took a while to start getting there. They had to set up the story and talk.
I mean, yeah, it definitely built up the story.
And then
I think that's one of the reasons why I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I mean, I appreciate that as well, but I'm 41. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know if I really wonder. I'm very curious to see the pacing of the new movie. That's what I'm really curious to see compared to this. And I'm also kind of glad that we're doing this because there's a lot of them that I haven't seen. Because I think I checked out after 3.
Yeah, a lot of people checked out after 3. And I'm not going to go through all the details here, but I thought Saw 6 was just as good. But we'll get that when we get that. But we want to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll get to our final thoughts. Stay with us. You're watching Unpopular Review.
Jaeger pilots, do you understand?
One way to find out.
That's what I'm talking about!
Greetings and welcome. Right now, you are breathing in a deadly nerve agent. The only way out is to find an antidote. One is inside the safe. You all possess the combination in the back of your mind. Let the game begin. Oh, yes. There will be blood.
I actually messed that up. I think the end of that says Saw 3, but it's actually Saw 2 we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Next week. And then Thursday, we're finally going to talk about Pacific Rim. It has to happen this coming Thursday before we get to our Jim Carrey movies. And
it didn't happen. Okay, cool. I thought that didn't happen.
No, Pacific Rim this Thursday, and then Saw 2 next Tuesday, and then our Jim Carrey movies on Thursdays after that. But we're talking about Saw 1, and we're here for our final thoughts. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Next, Doctor, we'll start with you. What do you have to say?
You know, they say that he wasn't a murderer, but he definitely became one in this movie because you got to count booby traps as murder, and that cop's partner with nothing left of anything above the shoulders. That was like 5 shotguns and just got obliterated. I think that was probably the most brutal thing I'd ever seen, maybe up until that point in a movie. That really like, whoa, it's just gone. It does go to his forethought. He really, he wasn't expecting anyone there, but you plan for the unexpected. He definitely did. And I don't think when the other cop comes down, he's already on the other side of that. I don't even think that he walked through it. I think he went around, and I think he slowed down to make it look like, hey, this is the path to make someone rush through it. And he definitely rushed through it. But back when I first saw it, I enjoyed it. Watching it through again, it was still a good watch. It was definitely a thumbs up for me. The story, compelling, acting was good. Yeah. Thumbs up.
Vic.
Well, I mean, look, this came out at the turn of the century, a couple of years at the turn of the century. This introduced basically a new boogeyman, and it's been that way for a long time. Because the fact of the matter is that every other movie was predictable except for this one. Well, I didn't see them all, but I'm assuming that every other movie was predictable except for this one because we already know who the bad guy is. You know what I mean? So like definitely a thumbs up because this just led to so many other things.
Clearly it's going to get a thumbs up for me, as everybody knows it's one of my favorite movies. I will be remiss of saying that the scene where the puppet rolled in on the bicycle after Amanda survived was actually one of my favorite scenes. That's when I started saying, oh shit, what kind of freaky crap is this? I remember that he just went there. Congratulations. And you know what? I do a lot of quotes. Y'all know I love quotes. And I got a lot of quotes from Jigsaw. Congratulations, you're alive. Some people are so unhappy to be alive, but not you, or ungrateful to be alive, but not you, not anymore. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. That is very powerful. You don't like what he does to get his point across, but his point has a point.
Yeah.
Why are you going around acting like you're sick, yet I see so many pictures of you doing this? Like, that's messed up. You're constantly on drugs, poisoning your body. You need to be happy about life because we have some people who are like myself who's on cancer. When I say myself, I'm talking about Jigsaw, who's like, who has terminal cancer. Yet you're over here abusing the life that you have. I see and agree with his point, just not what he does, of course, about the point. But I like the fact that he came in and he said, this is the reason I do this. And congratulations for passing my test. And not for nothing, at the end with Adam, he was going to let him go. He said the key to that is right there. Mm. And he was going to let him walk out. But then dude had to go. He was like, you put me through all this crap. Let's be honest. Both people that said the same thing picked up a gun and he said, but man, I gave you a chance and I will leave you here to rot. That's pretty much what he did because he hit that patented, classic, game over and closed that freaking door. And it's like Rashad said, it could have ended right there and I would have been fine. Because that was just a great twist with great music. And that's what I was going to point out when Vic was talking about 1, 2, Freddy's Coming for You, or even Jason's. That Saw ending theme, you'll see from all the other movies, it's like it's not going to be. You have to have that music with whatever twist they're coming up with because it's really good. And I think it was my ringtone for a while. But of course, it's a thumbs up for me, thumbs up for Next Doctor, thumbs up for Vic. Thank you so much for watching us here tonight. We hope to see you Thursday because I think y'all already did the Superman review that y'all usually do Wednesdays. Is that correct? So we will see you all Thursday for Pacific Rim 2. Unfortunately, I won't be on that episode, so I hope it still happens. And then next Tuesday, back here for Saw 2. So for Next Doctor, for Vic, I'm the exec consultant. And we'll see you right here next time on Unpopular Review. Good night, everybody. Wish I had